and me. So hello everyone, hope you are all well. Welcome to another Zero Waste Leeds Lunchtime live event. Of course, these are the events where we talk to the people in Leeds who are doing all they can to make workplaces and businesses and our city as sustainable as possible. We're talking zero waste and zero carbon. I'm Peg Alexander, a Leeds-based journalist and presenter, someone who cares very deeply about the climate challenge. I have to say today I am super excited. Prepare yourself for a loving, right? I'm just warning you, prepare yourself for a loving, because we have someone who genuinely, and because I'm reading this off a script, I can't actually see what expression he's going to have on his face while I read this out, but we're talking to someone who I believe has shown that individuals and ideas that start small can change the world. Because just 7 years ago, Adam Smith started the Real Junk Food Project in Armley in Leeds, and it sparked a global movement of pay-as-you-feel junk food cafes and now storehouses and warehouses using food that would otherwise go to waste and making sure that no one goes hungry. And now they're undertaking their biggest project yet, Kindess Christmas, delivering 13,000 potentially food hampers and presents all over the city. We've got Adam with us, and of course we also have our very own Jill Copeland, who is from the new Give Leeds initiative. And I'm sure during the call, for those of you who don't know Give Leeds, Jill will explain what that's about. Adam, I've been bigging this up on social media for the last few days because, right, I'm not bluffing on this, mate, right? Honestly, I just think you're bloody wonderful.
Thank you, Peggy. I think for the first time in 7 years, I'm absolutely speechless. So you're the first person to do that to me, so well done.
No, because I think it'd be very easy to underplay what you've done, and I don't think we should. I think we're all used to the concept of pay-as-you-feel junk food now, but the things you've been through to get to where this is now, and literally it did spark cafes all over the world.
Yeah, I think at the height of 2016, we had 126 cafes that had come through us in 7 countries worldwide, which has amounted to around 6,000 tonnes, which is like 13 million people worldwide will have access to food through the Real Junk Food Project. Yeah, so yeah, it achieved some amazing things.
God, you're so modest. Honestly, how does that feel to know you've fed all those people and you've stopped food going to waste?
Well, it was about a year ago. I went through a diagnosis of autism, and I had to go through like PTSD therapy because I'd had a very, very traumatic childhood. So I've kind of realised that I don't tend to feel for things like that. Like, it just is. I just do it because I can, and I'll keep going until somebody stops me. I believe that I shouldn't have to be doing this, and I believe the Real Junk Food Project shouldn't be needed. All we're trying to do is expose a problem and come up with solutions and collaborations to try to prevent the next generation from needing the Real Junk Food Project. So for me, it's just another thing that I do. I don't feel happy. I don't feel sad about it. I don't get emotional about it. And it's just, year on year, we keep achieving bigger and greater things. And I think it's come to the point now where we are collaborating with so many different organisations, especially around Leeds and West Yorkshire. And we've grown from 4 to 25 members of staff during COVID, and we've now got up to 350 volunteers, I think it is now registered. And I think people are now starting to realise that this organisation is really serious about what it's set out to achieve. It's not just me and a couple of students jumping through bins and trying to feed people anymore like it was like 7-8 years ago. We're really seriously trying to create change and inspire people and empower people and get food to young families and young people and make them feel part of this environmental thing that we're trying to achieve, where we're trying to obviously reduce food waste, but also to try and create systematic changes within the food industry so we don't just keep churning this out and creating more and more food waste. So yeah, it's getting to the stage now I can start to feel, especially because of COVID, that people are starting to not only accept it, but to change their behaviours and attitudes towards food. So yeah, it's starting to maybe get to the stage now where we're starting to see some positive results. So maybe that's a good thing to feel. I don't know, but
oh no, you should. I mean, I just say we've got people watching us, so please do join in. We're monitoring your comments, we're monitoring questions. We'll do that. Before we get on to Kindness Christmas and all of that, I kind of want to tell a bit of a story, because one time, I mean, we've met quite a few times for interviews, but I'll never forget. It was a real moment for me. One time, I came to do a job. I'm not going to say what radio station it was, but I came to do a job, what they call a mic holding job. So I came to be the techie person while somebody in London interviewed you. And I could hear down my cams what the interviewer was saying. And it was really interesting, because this was a very experienced broadcaster. And it was almost like they couldn't get their head round the fact that you were saying, there should be no food waste, and I don't care whether people pay for it or not, and I don't care if that doesn't mean we don't have money, because this is about the fact that there should be no food waste. And the interviewer was saying, but does that mean people are getting food for free? What if, you know, and you were going, but I don't care, it's about food waste. And it was really interesting that I think, but we've moved on loads since then. I don't think you'd have that same interview now.
No, I think pay as you feel for me was always about value. It's about valuing people and valuing food, and I think we've lost a lot of that over maybe since like the 90s and the early 2000s, when from TV dinners and mass production and all the other stuff that's come with it in terms of our kind of global food system. And a lot of people felt like they had to be poor or in need or vulnerable to gain access to food, and food was wasted and only given to those in need. And some of this food had a very high value. And I was trying to use the concept to try to get people to understand that it's a basic human right to have access to food, and therefore everybody should have it. And those that also can afford to have it should also play a part in stopping food waste. It shouldn't just have to be poor people or needy or vulnerable. Now, although we do come into contact with a lot of people that fit those demographics, we don't target them. So we have rich and wealthy people getting food offers, just like people who may not be able to afford it. And we feel like all of them are kind of helping us to stop food waste. And if we keep going with that message, which we have done since day one, is it's not about money, it's not about targeting people, it's not about trying to feed set demographics. Because my argument probably then, Peg, when I was getting interviewed, is the same now, is that you could feed all the people on the planet with waste food, but there'll still be waste food. And we've got to try to segregate the two and tackle poverty as a separate issue to food waste, because the two have become entangled to the point where now both of them are needed to sustain one another. And even now during COVID, and even now at this, you know, just after the second lockdown, we've got to a stage where food is being generated to feed those in need or isolated. So food waste is probably the worst it's ever been because of the state of our society right now and the people in need. But we're using food waste, we're generating more rather than dealing with the food that we already have. And that's the biggest problem right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm actually, after this, I'm recording my radio show, and now I'm doing an interview with a researcher who's, I haven't read the details, so don't quote me on this yet, but has found that possibly panic buying might have impacted more than just food on the pandemic. So loads of issues there. Let's talk about this Christmas kindness, and I want to bring Jill in as well at this point, because Jill, you're here from Give Leeds. Before we get on to Kindness Christmas, not Christmas kindness, before we get on to that, because it is sort of linked, just really quickly tell us what Give Leeds is and why this and Kindness Christmas are a solution to all your Christmas present conundrums.
Yeah, thank you, Peg. Yeah, well, what we're trying to do, what we realised was a lot of our work, we come in contact with amazing grassroots community organisations and charities doing really essential work in our communities, particularly during the pandemic. And not enough people know about what they do and the impact they have on thousands of people in our communities every week. So what we'd like to do through Give Leeds is through the directory on our website is showcase all of these organisations and the amazing work that they do and open them up for people to be able to support them. So people can support them either by donating to them, that could be cash donations or donations of food for food banks or donations of gifts like Adam needs for Kindness Christmas. Whatever it is they need, they can put a shout out for that. So it's just a platform to enable that mutuality and generosity and kindness that we know exists in Leeds, just matching that up with the organisations that need the support and the people who will undoubtedly support them. And Adam's Junk Food Project is on there along with many others. It's growing every day. So we're just hoping, it's a Christmas pilot at the minute, but we're just hoping it will turn into a really beautiful thing. And it's a way that we can help support our city to come through the pandemic and go forward. We can all be involved in that.
And you're going to be releasing some videos, some chats you've been having with people about some of the stuff that they do. I mean, I can see it's just under the screen, but we can see you going.
Yeah, I've done interviews with 3 of the organisations, and when you are in front of people who live what they do, who are so embedded in their community, who know the families, know the kids, know the issues, and are doing everything they possibly can do to open up opportunities, to keep kids away from crime and drugs. You know, when you watch these videos, people will just want to support them. That honesty and that, you know, how real that is for some people, and which a lot of us just, you know, we're not in that world, we don't see it. It's really, really powerful.
Yeah. So Adam, talking about real, 13,000, that's your target, 13,000 hampers and toys. We've got various things that you need people to help you with for Kindess Christmas. You've got an Amazon wish list, so you'd like us to buy some stuff. You need more toys, you were saying?
Yeah, toys and small gifts, ideally, that we can put in for children and families. Yeah, that'd be ideal. And
then with the hampers, are you using all the food that you've got down at the storehouse there, because at the Kindness warehouse, because I keep seeing these films of unbelievable piles of food that you've got.
Yeah. I mean, some other media outlets came down last week and did some shows with us, and I think we had about 150 tons, which is about 300 pallets in total. There's another 26 pallets arriving today. Obviously, we're doing our normal intersections. We're still feeding children in primary schools every week. We're still doing our free gun boxes. We've still got the 2 share houses open. So we've got all that on top of the 113 tons of food that we've got to deliver out to families across West Yorkshire as well. So yeah, all of it's going to be made up using surplus food.
Yeah. I think you've got 4,000 out already or something.
It's about 2,000 at the moment, but we
1,000 boxes last week.
Yeah, we did over 1,000 last week. Yeah, and we've done nearly 1,000 already this week. And it's just picked up more and more. You know, we knew we'd start slow. We needed to understand how we're going to do it. We haven't got the space. You know, we're having to knock out 600 boxes a day, which is.
How are you doing it? Just how?
I don't know. I mean, we got, and as they were filming me, there's a piece going out today. And as they were filming me, they were trying to get the activity behind me. And I was like, it's just happening. You know, volunteers are coming in. I mean, with all due respect, it's quite a simplistic task of getting food, which has been quality controlled, and then putting it into a box. And then once the box is full, it gets stacked and it goes in a car. The hardest thing about it is we've had a team, an absolute army of volunteers who are all specialised in the skills for like data analysis and spreadsheets. And they're all sat in the offices, routes and emailing people and getting route planners ready and literally like printing off the sheets with all the dietary requirements on it, a number of children on it, and then giving it to the drivers. And there's this like piece of A4 paper that comes with a map on it and a list on it, and you've like, how did that happen? How did that get to that stage? Like, it's just mental. And there's just like all these team of amazing. Lloyd's Bank sent a lot of people down, Sky Bet sent a lot of people down.
It's like our very own West Yorkshire version of the Mumbai Tiffin, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it was just like we thought we would put people who had skills to good use. I work in restaurants, and I started my training in TGI Fridays, and the American term in kitchens was be set for success and aces in places, and I used to have it drilled into my head every day, and I hated the place. But I still use it now, and I always think to myself, if somebody's got a skill and they can work on spreadsheets, get them working on spreadsheets, don't get them putting food in boxes. And that's what we just try to do. So people walk in and we just say, what can you do? And they tell us, and they've got a skill somewhere else, and we put them to use. And next minute, there's an army of people doing it. And it's organic. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it. You know, you could walk in now and say, look, I'm good on a computer. Can you get me on and I'll start building some routes for you? And you can spend another couple of hours building routes and getting food out to people's houses. And then you might never come back. So we're just working with what we've got, and it just seems to be that there's a lot of positive momentum around the project right now, despite COVID and all the hard times that we've gone through this year. And people are furloughed and people have lost jobs, and it's just an opportunity for us to kind of tap into that. Obviously, the hospitality industry, a lot of my friends have lost jobs and businesses. So we've tapped into a lot of those skills as well. So maybe we're just fortunate in bad times. I always see opportunities in bad times and think, what else could we do maybe differently or better, or what else could we just do in a time of need and desperation? And we decided that Kindess Christmas was the most positive message that we could do, and people seem to have embraced it.
Oh, because it's lovely, because it is really lovely. And so are you still looking for volunteers at the moment?
All the time. I mean, we need people to come in and help pack the boxes. We need people to help drive. We've had some families this week, unfortunately, some of our core volunteers who children have had to isolate at school.
Right,
So
yeah.
let home. So next minute they've turned up the next day with a child in the car, and they're going out driving instead of working in the warehouse for us. So, we've got all sorts of random kind of diverse groups of people that are turning up every day in a car. They get given a sheet. It's got a route of 10 or 12 on it. And we can even build the routes so that you can do it on the way back home. So people are coming in from, say, like Otley, for example, and then we're sending them back to Otley with a route, or obviously to houses local to them as well. So they're not obviously going too far out the way, or they can feed their local people with it and go to people's houses that they may know who are registered. So we're really trying our best to make it like as kind of community based as possible. But it's the whole of West Yorkshire. I mean, it goes all the way out to Todmorden. It goes Sherburn and Elmet all the way down to Brighouse. It's a very, very far place. And like you said, there's 13,000 people registered. We're currently doing boxes with no allergies and up to 5 children. I think from next week we start the allergy boxes, and that's when it gets really crazy. So if there's any skilled people out there that are really up on it with all the allergies, then yeah, we definitely need people like that to come in and help.
You said earlier, Adam, no, that you didn't feel it, but you could see it on your face there.
Yeah, it's just, I just feel, I don't know, we've only got a certain amount of time on this planet, all of us. And when somebody gives you their time for free, I'm in awe of it, and any volunteer anywhere, and especially during COVID, how we all came together as communities and individuals to just be there for one another, no questions asked, people were just there. And I'm in awe of that. I just feel like if you've got the capacity and the altruism to go out and give your time for free to something else, those people are worth their weight in gold, and they're the people that should be getting the credit, not me, because they come and they give back to so many others, and so many people benefit from it.
Just to say, if anybody does want to volunteer, wants to donate, wants to put money into the GoFundMe campaign, wants to buy from the Amazon wishlist, that's all on your Facebook page. If you go to Kindess Christmas on Facebook and the Real Junk Food Project on Facebook, you can find that. We have got people watching us on Facebook, so do join in the conversation. Come on, give us some questions, give us some thoughts and comments. We are monitoring that, Jill. I mean, it must, you must just think there's so much good stuff going on in this city.
I really think so. And I think we have to build on what's happened during the pandemic and during lockdown, the way that we've all supported each other in our own communities. Our neighbours were amazing, and we've tried to repay when they've needed it. And the way that, shopping local, because lots of us are at home, working from home, shopping locally, appreciating what's on our doorstep and wanting to support other people. And that's, kind of part of what Give Leeds is all about, because we recognise that. And I think, we're going to struggle for quite a long time to get ourselves fully through this. The economy in Leeds will have changed. Adam's mentioned about the hospitality industry that he worked in. Lots of people have really suffered with that. But there's also been amazing innovations. They've pivoted what they do with their business to meet the needs of the communities. And we need to build on all of that goodwill through Give Leeds, through Buy Leeds. That's the other campaign, is it Support Your Local Indie. That's an amazing directory as well, where we can buy from local businesses and organisations, and our money spent locally goes a long way, without a doubt. And I think where we came from with Zero Waste Leeds, because it feels like a strange tie-in, Give Leeds and Zero Waste Leeds, but there's a stat, and it's probably an underestimate of the amount that we waste on unwanted Christmas gifts every year, 42 million quid. That would be about £500,000 in Leeds. Again, probably an underestimate, but imagine if you could donate that or spend that locally. That just makes a huge difference. And we need to come together to get through this. And it's clear that people want to do that. The Junk Food Project, what Adam's saying there about the number of volunteers who turn up every day, it is clear that once you put that call out, there are people who want to meet that, who want to help.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say to anybody, apparently I mean, I know, Adam, you certainly shared some pictures at the weekend of the shopping in London. But after you shared those on Facebook, I went and had a look to see what the pictures were like of Leeds, and they would look just as bad, the pictures of Brighett, not quite as bad, but nearly as bad. And, there's, don't go shopping locally, and also give money to these projects and buy stuff for these kids and things like that. Don't go overboard. Do you know what I mean? Don't for loads and loads of presents. Maybe just cut down the number of presents you're giving to people in your life, and give a bit extra elsewhere, certainly, or even just to give a bit extra elsewhere. Deb's been on Facebook. She says, well done, Super Smithy, you're a star.
She's the story behind Deb Tetley is she was my teacher at Merlin Rees High School, which I got thrown out of in a past life. And Deb was on holiday that week that I got thrown out of school, and she didn't get a chance to kind of help me. But when I was in Australia, I messaged her and said, I've got this idea for this project. I'm gonna create the Real Jumper Project, and I'm gonna feed the world. And Deb sent me £200 to get it started. So if it weren't because of Deb,
Deb
project. So yeah, I owe a lot to her. So thank you, Deb.
Oh, Deb, well, there you go, 200 quid, and it sparked all of this. You see, I really love that, right? I love that you said, there you were in Melbourne, saying, I'm going to start the Real Junk Food Project, I'm going to change the world, because I think it's very easy to feel like you can't affect change, that we're all just as individuals too small. So this time on my Facebook, I know this is a bit off the subject, but, on my Facebook this year it came up that this time last year I was at the UN Climate Conference working as a journalist, and my friend that I was with told me that the year before, which I was also at that conference in Katowice, someone had tried to move Greta Thunberg on because she didn't have the formal credentials. She was sitting there and she didn't have the formal credentials, and they were kind of saying, you can't just come in, you can't, do you know what I mean? And the following year, she had the entire world's media following her, trying to get into it when she was going into the COP. So it just goes to show, yourself, Greta, whatever, people, individuals, with a good idea at the right time can change the world. And I think it's great the way that you just sort of said to Deb, send me 200 quid and I'll...
I didn't ask her, she just did it. She just did it, bless her.
I'm going to feed the world.
Yeah, I think from ourselves, it was we knew that we couldn't stop food waste, and we knew that we couldn't change the industry. But what we thought we could do is to create an alternative and give people a choice. So do you choose to go to the Real Jumper Project and buy your food, or do you choose to go to the retailers and buy your food? And over time, it's very, very small. We've kind of changed supply and demand. We've got thousands of customers a week now that purchase food from the Real Jumper Project because they feel like they should be doing, because there's now an alternative. And
this is your vegan boxes. Tell us about them.
So you can basically, you can there's plenty of ways of getting hold of it. It's all through the website, but you can order one now where you get delivered. So you can go that we collaborated again with a restaurant in Wakefield. We piggybacked their app, and you can download their app, and you can now purchase vegan boxes through the Real Jumper Project. And in return, we sell some of their ethical U-Radical products, which are like soaps and washing up liquids, etc. And that's a way of them obviously supporting the cost of giving us it for free. So instead of exchanging cash and trying to build an app ourselves, we just piggyback somebody and said we'll use our customer base to also sell those goods. So you can download that. You can also turn up to the share house. You can do the magic boxes, which we do through Too Good To Go, where you can order and you can get your box the next day. So there's loads of ways of getting older food through us, and we've just given people that choice now. And I think when I do these, I do speeches across the world. You probably noticed, Peg, and I do a lot of like social entrepreneur breakfasts, and I go into universities, and I'm always saying to them, if you've got an idea and your idea can influence people to have a choice, to make a choice between something or something else, then go for it and give people that choice, especially if the ethics behind it are impactful on the planet and for the people. And that's what I truly believe that the Real Jumper Project is. It's about stopping food waste and providing for people as well at the same time. And it just gives people that choice, and it's grown and grown to the point where people are now making decisions. So I don't believe that we're ever going to stop food waste, and I don't believe that we're ever going to stop the big players in the industry from wasting food, but I do believe that we will have a place in the industry where people can make an ethical choice. And I think there's more and more of us now. You know, we mentioned earlier about the reuser box. There's plenty of other organisations now that are looking at ways environmentally to try and create enterprise to give people a choice, because a lot of people probably start watching, or they see videos, because I watch all your videos and I watch Zero Waste Leeds material online, and people probably sat there going, I just don't know what I can do. I don't know what I recycle, at home, but what else am I supposed to do? And I think a lot more of these businesses now are giving people a choice to go, actually, I don't have to go and buy a cardboard box. I can reuse an old box, or I can, stop food waste by purchasing from these guys. And there's loads of Seagulls, they're at the top of everybody's list.
Yeah, you see the paints company.
Exactly. And so, instead of going to buy it from a, traditional paint supplier, you can go to somewhere as an enterprise, supporting local people. They do a lot of work with people that are offenders in prisons, to kind of reform them, etc. So your purchase makes a massive, massive impact. And I think Leeds is full of that at the moment. I think there's lots and lots of businesses that are springing up that are giving people that choice to say, actually, all I have to do is just change the way that I shop, and I'm going to start having an impact.
Yeah. And just very close to home, an immediate thing, you are going to give not just some, thousands of families a decent Christmas this year, Adam?
I hope so. I mean, we've already had a lot of feedback, a lot of testimonials of people just saying, they've gone out and walked the dog and came back and there was some food. And because there was no questions asked at all, we just said everybody's had a shit year. Everybody, whether you're rich, it doesn't, everyone's had a shit year. And we just said, no questions asked, just register. We'll try and give you a food hamper. And I had a message yesterday which kind of epitomised that, because the woman said her and her husband had lost their jobs, and one of the things that we sent was this kind of like control pad chocolate, which we had donated to us. And it's in a nice little gift box. And we sent that for all the times that we couldn't send out the presents. We just sent out these kind of chocolate boxes. And she messages us saying, I've hidden it from my husband because I want to give it to him for Christmas because I can't afford to get him a present.
Aww.
And I just thought, that's one of those examples of, they may not have children and they may not be able to use food banks, and they might have been working before where they're not entitled to benefits. And that just one little kind of piece of chocolate is going to allow them to, spend a decent Christmas together and give something back to one another. And I just thought that's the reason why we do it, because there's a lot of people out there that you can't judge their circumstances. Mm-hmm. And it's not up to us to say whether or not they're entitled to food, and we're just going to provide and see what happens. So we already know that we're having impacts on people's lives this Christmas, and I'm sure over the next couple of weeks, some thousands more that we're going to be delivering. I'm sure it's going to get closer to Christmas time where there's more and more children involved that we're going to be delivering to, that are hopefully going to get something, especially when it gets closer to, as we both know, the holiday hunger period, when children are off school. That's the really crucial time that we're going to be delivering more food to more families. So hopefully we'll have bigger impacts at those times.
Because I think you're right, the technical term for this year is shit. It is, and we've all, but add food hunger to that. And I was watching a clip of you saying you'd have people saying to you they could afford to put the heating on now because the food was covered. That's where we're at to. Just to say, Sarah Mumford's been on. She says, brilliant work, Adam. And she's also talking about, you saying there that there's loads of projects in Leeds going on. She talked about some children at Sharrock Primary, just up the road from me, have come up with a fab new idea to reduce food waste as part of Ivy's Applied Creativity Lab. Watch this space. She says she's hoping they'll get to present to people who might be able to support the development of an app in the new year. I mean, that, do you know what? That just fills us with hope, doesn't it? When kids are saying, we're gonna sort this out as well.
Absolutely. I think when we started the Fuel for School project in 2016, we delivered like tons and tons of these milkshakes to the primary school, Richmond Primary School in Leeds. And we put them in the middle of the hall, and we let the children just run in, and we thought kids were just going to be kids and run up to it and go, wow, milkshake. There were piles of this stuff. And they didn't, and they stopped as they went in. And the first group of kids turned around to me and were like, why is all this being thrown away? And for me, that was like the most magical part of the Real Jump project. Because obviously, for myself personally, to put us out of business, to no longer need the Real Jumper project, we have to educate the next generation so that they can grow up and be the next Gretas of the world, where they're inspired and empowered to feel like they can make change on a global level by making small changes, but they're also educated about the environmental issues that we've unfortunately, had a negative impact on. And for these children to instantly stop and turn around and question why this food was going to waste. I mean, some of the children even wrote letters to David Cameron at the time. I think it was the Prime Minister, just before Theresa May, wrote letters to David Cameron saying, please, can you stop food waste? Like, to him, instead of actually just running over and grabbing it and drinking it, which is probably what I would have done when I was a kid, and showing that children are much more aware now. You know, they're aware of David Attenborough, they're aware of Greta, they can go online, they can see material now about what's going on. You can see Amazon rainforest burning, you can see flooding in Todmorden, and these things are having a direct impact on young people. And I think they're all feeling inspired and empowered by projects like ours to say, well, these guys stood up and did something, so that means that we can do something. And they're now doing it in schools, which is something I did. And unfortunately, maybe it's been enforced onto them a little bit because of our negative attitude towards it as a society globally, that we've got to this stage that children are now having to do these type of things in classrooms to try and come up with innovative ideas to try to stop, you know, climate change and all the other things that are going on right now environmentally. But it's inspiring to think that these young people are going to be the next consumers of the world, and, you know, they'll grow up to be the next society who will be much more conscious of their impact when they're, you know, just being consumers as such. So that's really, really inspiring to hear stories like that.
So Jill, yeah, do it for the kids.
Yeah.
Lend a hand, give Leeds for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? I think we try and do a lot of work because I think people don't think about how their choices impact on climate change. You know, like loads of people think they're concerned about climate change. And then you say, well, yeah, but, you know, by your food choices, you can make a difference. By your fashion choices, you can make a difference. By your gift choices, you can make a difference. And like Adam said, there is so much opportunity to do that in Leeds. There are so many organisations which we try and use our platform, and Adam does the same, to push those organisations forward. So it's just so that people know that they have the opportunity to here in Leeds to do the things that make a difference. And you think your individual actions don't matter, but they absolutely do. And they do when you join together with thousands of people across Leeds. We're all doing the same thing. And that's, you know, that's what we want.
I think that's a great place to end. You know, individual actions do matter, because we've got Adam on this call showing us that they absolutely do matter. To make to kind of just to increase your sainthood even more, Adam, on this call, it's actually your day off today, and it's about the only day off you're going to have for quite a long time. And you've spent part of it chatting to us about what you've been doing, because I do know you are knackered, and you're going to have to keep going now. So when will you get another day off? Christmas Day, is that your next day off?
Yeah, I think we stop on the 23rd, and I think that's it, that we stop. I mean, most Christmases we've stayed open. I think in the past we've done sleepovers in the Armley cafe where we slept over for like 124 hours with homeless people and families. We did the Hope and Social event where we fed 400 people Christmas dinner.
Oh, love Hope and Social. If anyone hasn't, if they don't know Hope and Social, just go and check out her absolutely brilliant band who also combine kind of doing good stuff with the music.
So I think we might have it off. I've got a 1-year-old daughter now, and this will be the first Christmas that she probably understands. And my other child, Joshua, he's going to be 7 next month. So
I know he's not 7, is he?
Yeah, he's massive, Peggy. He's all years. So and yeah, so I just think and I've just hopefully just bought a house as well in the North Bay in Scarborough. So I think I'll be moving there around about Christmas time. So I think I'm going to try and for once have a proper family Christmas for the first time in my life, I think, probably. So yeah.
Do you know what, Adam? God, you so deserve it. A proper family Christmas. Scarborough sounds nice, but does that mean you're leaving us in Leeds?
So it just means that it's come to the stage. I think the greatest sign of success for any kind of entrepreneur, I guess there's a way that they term it, which I don't like to call myself, but is that you can step back and give up. And I think that's one of the biggest problems in entrepreneurship right now, is that a lot of people feel like they've got to sacrifice everything in order to prove that they're achieving something. And I completely think it's wrong to think that way. We've hired lots of members of staff. We've grown into a warehouse which is 10 times bigger. We've opened shops. We're hopefully opening a cafe inside the LS10 skate park, a Pagefield cafe, all during COVID, which has been absolutely bonkers. So it's probably come to a time now where to measure the success of the project is if I can step back a little bit, not necessarily from the project, but just from the kind of day-to-day operations, and to allow the team to kind of do it themselves. So it's not just like this one-man army, as you keep portraying me as this thing, Peg. Amazing people and amazing volunteers who are running the place. They're there now running it, and I've not had a phone call or a message yet. So obviously something's going right. And I think that's something that's really, really important, especially from my own personal development. And, you know, coming through so much of my trauma therapy in the last couple of years, is I had to just step back a little bit. And I've got another project lined up, which I'm not going to tell you right now, but I think I'm about to solve homelessness. I was homeless as a kid, and I've met a couple of people, and we've come up with some very, very radical and very profound ways of trying to empower people out of homelessness. into projects like ourselves and a couple of other projects that we're working with at the moment. So I'll be working a little bit on that, but that'll be Leeds based as well. So I'm not leaving Leeds as such.
Oh, thank God for that. Panic on there. I love that. I'm about to solve homelessness, and the truth of the matter is, Adam, we all believe you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't have any doubts that when you say that, that's
there. You know, it's not like I'm preaching. I've been there. I've suffered it. I know what it's like. I have massive issues with how homelessness is dealt with in this country, because when COVID happened, homelessness pretty much disappeared overnight. Now back worse than ever before, and so we're capable of doing it. So I think we've just got to come up with ways. I mean, it's the same with the Real Jumper project. We just said, let's go out and feed people surplus food and let them pay what they want. I was warned by somebody just before I opened the cafe not to do it because I was mental. And I said to him, you're right, I am mental. And we went and did it. And so I believe that you set your heart on something, you can go out and achieve it no matter what. And that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, the next task is stop homelessness.
Well, I can't remember the exact quote, but just before we went live, we were talking about how the three of us are absolutely loving all the artwork that's appeared on the streets, particularly through COVID. And quite near me is the Bielsa end of the, and I'm just trying to remember his quote, and he says something like, when everybody else is calling you a madman, and then other people are just getting on and doing it. I wish I could remember the exact quote. So go and check it out. Anyway, it's a good place to finish with what you've just said there. Just reminding everybody, if you want to volunteer for Kindess Christmas, if you want to buy off the Amazon wish list, if you want to help the GoFundMe campaign and you want to donate, go to either Kindess Christmas or Real Junk Food Project on Facebook. There's all the links there for everything that you need to be able to do. Also go to Give Leeds and do Give Leeds rather than buying excess presents that maybe people don't want. Yeah, I think we'll just finish here, and I'm not going to stop the fangirling. You know I'm not. So all hail to you, Adam, and to all the volunteers and to everyone. But I just think the one message to leave it with is individuals can change the world, and small ideas can grow into massive things. So everybody, don't give up. We can make these changes. And Adam, you need to have more time off, so just enjoy Scarborough. Lovely Scarborough. Enjoy your time there and enjoy your family Christmas, won't you? It's been an absolute, genuinely an honour and delight to talk with you.
Yeah, I'm proud of being on it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Adam. See you,
Thank you. Take care, Jill.
Bye.
Bye.